Okay, hold on, please.
Can you bring me that letter right quick from to Kiko? Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, Dr. King.
Yes, Mr. President. How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. I thought you made a mighty good statement yesterday that I saw on last night.
Yes, well, we're in a difficult situation here.
Well, it's difficult all over the country. I met with about 600 or 700 of them today, and here on equal employment, and we just got so much. We got just so much to do, as I told you the other day, that I don't know how we'll ever do it, but we got to get ahead with it. I had all day long yesterday, and all day the day before, I was having 44 to 44 votes, 43 to 42, and finally I won last night by 3 extra, and now my bill's got to go back to the House, go through Judge Smith again, go to conference, my poverty. They determined to destroy it, to scandalize it, and I thought Shriver was about as popular and about as fair a young man as I could go, and had a pretty good image, and he was Kennedy's brother-in-law, but they just raising the dickens in all these states, and particularly all the governors are upset, and the mayors can't get along. I got a letter from Kiko last night. He's a pretty decent fella.
Yes.
I told him I'd get busy in every one of these programs. I told Lee to tell you I'm here with a bunch of Latin American ambassadors,
Sure.
and they're upset because they want more for sugar, and their people are all starving. But I told him to tell you what. Did he go over the Kiko thing with you?
Yes, he went over it with me. He read the letter.
And I would get in. Shriver, if you think that's what we ought to do, and do anything that we ought to. I've got each one of these agencies now that have a responsibility in this field. I've sent them Kiko's letter to me and my letter to him, and asked them to prepare for crash action. And I guess that I got a mean letter from Yorty. He says that our people up here said that he wouldn't cooperate. I don't know who said it, if anybody, but he's upset with us, demands I investigate that. How do you see it?
Well, I tell you, Mr. President, I have met with all levels of leadership here, and I've talked with people in the Watts area. Now, this is really what concerns me very much. I'm not optimistic at this point about the possible outcome of it. Because in talking, Governor Brown has been marvelous in his statement and the moves that he's made. I had a long talk with him.
Yeah, by the way, I made, you might misunderstand it, but I took your statements you made the other day, and one or two others made about we pass laws to help people, and we got to all obey the law, and we can't violate it either as a Klansman or either with a Molotov cocktail, that we ought to obey the law. And I made that to the equal employment people today and made it pretty strong. But I wound up, I said, what we've got to do is find a cure and go in and correct these conditions where the housing and the ghettos and the rats are eating the children in the schools and the hunger and the unemployment and so forth.
Yeah.
And they're all God's children, and we better get at it.
Yeah, yeah.
But I want you to know I'd said that. Pardon me if I interrupted. Go ahead.
That's all right. But in my meeting with Police Chief Harper and Mr. Jordan, Mayor Jordan, I just felt that they are absolutely intrinsic to the problem and to the need to really cure the Mark is a very rude man. We couldn't get anywhere with him. But I just don't feel willingness even on the part of the mayor to grant just a few concessions to make, to bring about a new sense of hope in the neighborhood community. Now, what is frightening about it is that you hear all of these tones of violence, people out there in the watch area that things like that. The minute that happens, there will be retaliation from the white community. Last time there was not, which was wonderful. But people have brought up guns. Those Peacock went on television yesterday, and they needed to do it, and they had a right to it and all that. So that I'm fearful that if something isn't done to give a new sense of hope to the people in that area, and they are public, that a full-scale race war can be. And I'm concerned about naturally because I know that violence and riot doesn't help.
That's right. Now, what should we do about it? What's your recommendation?
I think the poverty, if they can get in the next few days this poverty program going in Los Angeles, I believe it would help us.
I'll get him over here in the morning. We'll get at it. Where are you going to be?
I'll be in Atlanta in the morning.
All right, we'll call you back. Lee will call you, or I'll call you if I have time, and we'll explore it. Is that the net of what you're recommending?
That's right. I think this would be greatly. This would help greatly.
All right, now you better get your thinking cap on this conference, because we're going to have to rush it. We don't want to rush it too much. We want to have plenty of preliminary work on the panels and things. But you can see here that my Howard University speech wasn't any too early.
That's right. That's right. You said it right there. That's right. Well, I've been doing some thinking.
Well, you refer to that some in your statement. You just point out that we've seen this national thing, that you've been in here. We were talking about it last week. Wasn't it last week you were here?
That's right.
And we were talking about Howard University last month.
That's right.
And say that. And just say that the clock is ticking, that the hands are moving. And we just, the good Lord is going to allow us some time, and he's trying to give us some warnings. But the country's got to stand up and support what I'm doing. And I can't have these poverty things hitting me 43 to 43.
Yeah, that's right.
44 to 42. That's just too close for the United States Senate.
That's right.
And I've been seeing you on television every night. You make a reasonable and fair, just thing, but I think you ought to say that the president recognized this thing months ago and talked to you about it, and all the leaders. He had all the leaders in here, and he talked to them at Howard University, and the speech is available, and they ought to read it, and that we're going to have a meeting, nationwide meeting, and try to form it. But we can't wait, and we've got to have some of these housing programs, and we've got to get rid of these ghettos, and we got to get these children out from where the rats eat on them at night, and we've got to get them some jobs. I had a youth job, but we got 2 million unemployed. I got 500,000 of them as a goal, and I set up the vice president, Connor, and we got all the businessmen to give them jobs, and we reached our goal to 500, so we increased it to 750. And we reached that yesterday, and now we reached 800 yesterday. So today I increased it to 1 million, so that'll be 1 million of 2 million. But I told the crowd today, we're just 50%. Well, when you bat 50%, that's not very good.
That's right.
So there's 1 million still that got no place to go and to get up, these youngsters.
Yeah. Well, that's right.
But you put a little of that stuff in your thing. Refer that Howard University speech. Nobody ever publicized that.
Almost every speech I've made, because I think it's the best statement and analysis of the problem I've seen anywhere. Certainly no president has ever said it like that before.
Well, we were ahead of it, and we got to keep ahead of it, and we're not now unless we do, but they never publicized it in here, and you're on television, and you ought to make them. Tell them to read it, write and get it, and let's get busy, and let's get into this housing. Let's get into this unemployment. Let's get into this health. Let's get into this Social Security situation. Let's get into this education. Let's get into, I said this morning, I spent the biggest part of my life for the last 4 years on civil rights bills, but It doesn't, all of it comes to naught if you have a situation like war in the world or a situation in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And I said a man's got no more right to destroy property with a Molotov cocktail in Los Angeles than a Ku Klux Klan has to go out and destroy a life. And what we got to do is all obey the law, but no use giving lectures on the law as long as you got rats eating on people's children and unemployed and no roof over the head, no job to go to, and maybe with a dope needle in one side and a cancer in the other.
Yeah, that's it.
Because they don't have very good judgment. People don't that got that kind of condition.
That's right.
And we're not doing enough to relieve it, and we're not doing it quick enough.
Yeah.
And that I'm having hell up here with this Congress.
Yeah.
I'm supposed
I didn't know the vote was that close.
Oh, I had a tie vote, 43 to 43.
Is that so?
And if the amendment was to cut me 900 million, and no, 791 million, 791 million out of a billion six, just cut me in half. And if the amendment had been adopted, they'd have cut it, but an amendment fails when it's a tie. It's not adopted, so it was a tie. That's how close it was. They're doing the same thing with my other things. They think that I'm getting far away from election and that I haven't got the crowd supporting me anymore. And I carried all but 5 states, but they say, well, Goldwater wasn't any good, and Johnson's not either, and he's got Vietnam on his side. They all got the impression, too, that you're against me in Vietnam. You don't leave that impression. I want peace as much as you do, and more so, because I'm a fellow that had to wake up this morning with 50 Marines killed. But these folks will not come to the conference table, and
I've said this, Mr. President, and I am concerned about peace, and I have made it very clear. I think not just about Mr. President, but I've made it very clear that at the present time, 2 things. First, that it's just unreasonable to talk about the United States having a unilateral withdrawal. On the other hand, you have called 14 or 15 times unconditional talk, and it's Hanoi.
That's right. Now that's the perfect position. That's just exactly the position. And we got to get you with Goldberg when you get up here, and let him tell you what he's trying to do behind the scenes to shove them some more. And if we got enough strength out there to hold on, and they get discouraged, we ever get them to the table, and we just got to get them to the table, because there's no use of shooting when you can talk.
Yes. Well, I got a call from Goldberg, I guess 2 days ago.
Well, that's
I'm going to talk with him.
Huh?
I'm going to talk with him next week.
I told him last week to go talk to you and to talk to Eisenhower and talk to everybody. Let's don't let this country get divided.
Well,
Because
I'll be sure to do that next week.
that's good. Thank you, and I'll have Lee White call you in Atlanta sometime tomorrow.
All right. Thank you so much.
Now, is there any other suggestion you got?
Well, that's really the main one.
Well, I appreciate you doing this. The way to function. You did a good service going out there and trying to give some leadership, and then call in to us and report. If you got any suggestions or recommendations, why, I'm just as close as a telephone. If you got enough money to pay it, if you haven't, why, I call collect.
All right.
Goodbye.
Well,
I want you to get your people busy on this conference, though.
we're working on it.
All right.
All right.
Bye.